Good day, everybody. It's Trent Klarenbach with the Klarenbach Grain Report. Today is December the 15th, 2025. Let's take a look at hard red spring wheat. We'll look at hard red spring wheat futures. We will look at hard red spring wheat in Western Canada using our Klarenbach price index for Saskatchewan. And we will also look at our basis chart for Saskatchewan as well. So the first chart here is the monthly nearby futures contract on the Minneapolis Grain Exchange. And there's a bunch of lines on here, right? So some moving averages. But first we'll look at these trend lines. This bottom trend line dates back to January 2002, so 23, it'll be 24 years ago soon. And you can see this trend line has actually acted as support up until this past year. So that's interesting. And these trend lines do matter because even if we connect the lows of 2020 and the lows of 2002, an argument could be made that it did act as support in 2024 and 2025. Right now we're trading below there. I also drew a trend line on this monthly chart from the high of 2011 using a best fit approach, and it has continued to act as some sort of support also. So that's interesting. So we're below the longer term trend line of 24 years. We're above the trend line of the last 15 years. What's going to happen, right? Typically, the longer-term trends prevail over the shorter-term trends, but at some point, those trends do change. Right now, we're below that longer-term trend line. We're below our key moving averages on the monthly. We're below the 10 and the 20 week, certainly below the 50 and the 200. It doesn't look real great on the monthly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart, in my opinion, shows a little bit more promise. We're still trading below that sell signal we had around that 560 or 570, 575 level, I believe. We're still trading just a bit below there at 570. But we are above our 10-week moving average. So the 10-week moving average is often a good indicator of a reversal in the trend. That's rising. The purple 20-week moving average is also starting to flatten out. This is frustrating, but nonetheless, that's what we're looking at. So maybe we get a rally up and test this upper trend line again, but the overall trend is still down. The longer term moving averages are above the price and in decline. So we really want to exercise some caution here. I was anticipating a rally, higher prices into next year. We got a little bit of a bump there, but they pulled back since then. So we'll see. I'm still think we could get higher prices into next year, but until that happens, it's tough, right? So this is our Klarenbach price index for Saskatchewan, and I got a bunch of different things on here. Let's turn them off. And right now we're trading just below that 10-week moving average. We got above it, came back down, found support for a week, and now we're trading right below there. So we'll wait and see how this week prevails. The week's not starting out great in terms of grain prices, but maybe we can get a rally, another move higher. But interesting to close this gap on the Saskatchewan price index. That's where we're finding some sort of support. So how many people are trading, gap trading on my price index for Saskatchewan? I'm not sure, but it's interesting how all these technical patterns just keep repeating each other. So this is the logarithmic chart. Now, I drew this trend line in a best fit approach, and you can see how we just have one touch here as the resistance. But if I move this trend line down to here, let's just say, look at that. If I flip it over to linear, you get this kind of, I call it a parabola. Maybe that's not the right term. But you can see that we're getting closer to the apex. Maybe we can break above that upper trend line and get a rally to higher prices. if I move this trend line down here, it touches more points. Probably a better fit location for a trend line. All of a sudden we're above this upper line, and it certainly paints a more bullish outlook for the price of hard red spring wheat in Saskatchewan. But we are below the 50-week moving average here in green, and we're actually just trading right at that 10-week. So it's one of those things. I want to give this market a little bit more time, see what happens. Probably not much in the next 2 weeks of this calendar year, but I think we could see some higher prices in the new year. Let's take a look at our basis chart. And yeah, we got above that 10-week moving average here back in September, early October. About a month ago there, end of November, we crashed below it, finding some support from this bottom trend line. But we wait to see how this week plays out. But I don't think it's time to quite throw the towel in on wheat yet. I think we could see improvement in the basis. If these gaps get filled, and there's probably no one else looking at these charts in this manner, but we did see on that cash price chart using our index how that gap got filled, and it's currently acting as some sort of support. Maybe this gap gets filled up here and we get a significant improvement in the basis. So keep that in mind. I anticipate these patterns will prevail regardless if anyone else is looking at them. So just you and me are looking at them, to my knowledge, at this time. So let's see if it plays out. My name is Trent Klarenbach, sunny in Saskatoon. Life's good.